Hey guys, what's up? It's Willy B here, back with episode 7 of Bukkit plugin tutorials. Today we're going over GUI menus, also known as inventory menus. So this allows a player to see a graphical interface in front of them and be able to click buttons and interact with things. We're going to go over the basics of it today, and we're going to skip over as much as we can to keep the video short. In order to do that, I'm using some of the stuff we've done from episode 1 and episode 5. So we're doing some listener stuff, and we're doing some basic command stuff, so you're going to want to know some of that stuff, but hopefully I'll be able to go over things enough that you'll be able to understand what's going on, as you shouldn't use code that you don't understand what it does. Today I'm also using a mechanical keyboard, so if you do find the audio is awful because of that, let me know in the comments and I will switch back to my other keyboard when I'm doing videos. So let's get started here. We've got implements listener on our main and our listener class. So here we need to add our plugin manager. PM equals bukkit.getServer.get plugin manager. Alright. And import plugin manager from org.bukkit.plugin, and then pm.register events new listener class. And this listener class here is the name of our listener class we've created. And you have to put the brackets after that, and you have to have new there, or it'll not work. So let's move on to command. We've got it set up in the plugin.yml to use the command GUI. So I would suggest either doing that or at least knowing what you're doing with it. So if sender instance of player and args dot length is equal to 1. So we're doing very little error checking here. Import that from org.bukkit.entity. We're just doing the literally as little as we can here, just to move things along. Oops. Clear sender if args. Make sure you get that exclamation mark there. So if it's not equal to, equals main, actually we'll do equals ignore case. That should be string main and args 0 equals ignore case warps parentheses that. So if the first argument is not main and is not warps, we're going to send them an error, and it's going to be the only error we actually send, I think, in this entire plugin. So invalid GUI else if args 0 equals ignore case main. So if it is main, we're going to do menus dot open main player, and that's going to be an error, and that's fine because we're about to do that. Menus dot open warps player. Oops. There. So this will just allow it to once we have open warps and open menus as a method, that'll go away. So we pop on over to our menus class, and in here we're going to be doing all of the actual menus themselves. So public static void open main player inventory inv equals bukkit dot create inventory, and there's a few different ways of creating inventories. What I always go with is the three here. So we have owner, which is just set to null, the size, and we're just going to go with 27 as a size. It has to be a multiple of 9. So there's 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, and then 54, and then I'm fairly certain if you go over 54 it's an issue, but I'm not 100% sure. I just know not to do it. We're going to throw some chat colors in here. We're going to do it a different way than we've done it before, I think. I'm not sure if I've done this before or not with a tutorial. Control-Shift-O, and it imports everything for us. Okay, then we're going to create our icons. So item stack warp icon equals new item stack material beacon. Just one. Oops. Control-Shift-O for imports. And the first one, item meta warp meta equals warp icon dot get item meta warp meta dot set display name. We'll use chat color again here. Oops. Chat color dot aqua plus warps. And then we're going to set the metadata back to the item. So warp icon dot set item meta to our warp meta. And then we're going to create our other icon. So item stack kit icon equals new item stack material dot diamond pickaxe here. Yep, and then just one of those. Item meta kit meta equals kit icon dot get item meta kit meta dot set display name. I'm going to set this to chat color dot purple, like dark purple, and then kits, and then kit icon dot set item meta kit meta. And that's all stuff we've done before as well. Inv dot set item, and this is where we're actually setting the item to a certain spot. I've already mapped this out on paper, and slot 12 and 14. 13 is the center slot on a GUI that's 27, but we have two items here, so we're going to go on either side of it, so 12 and 14. So 12 will be our warp icon. Oops. And then 14 will be our kit icon. And we're not actually doing a kit menu, it's just a placeholder just to show you how multiple work and all that. So player dot open inventory inv, and that's it. That's an entire menu that'll open up for them, and it'll display it for them when we call open main, which we did here. So now that works. So next we're going to create open warps, which is basically the same thing as this for the most part, but we're going to start from scratch because there is some differences here. Public static void open warps player. Okay, and then creating an inventory again, so inventory inv equals bucket dot create inventory. I selected the wrong one there, but that's fine. Null And for this one, we'll do 54. We're gonna call this warp menu, and we're not using color codes here. You know, I've already been recording here for 10 minutes, and we're not even close to done, so we're just gonna speed through this here. List string commands equals new array list string, parentheses. What we're doing here with the list string, this is similar to how you would make a lore. However, we're just using the commands list, whatever here, so we can add commands. So commands.add, we're going to add commands. So say first warp, and that'll be added to the lore and then actually run through the console. And we're just gonna make these do that. Just a console without any other plugins will still run the command say. So that's the easiest test command. Int warp num equals 1, because we're going to go through a list and we want our numbers for it. So for string cmd in commands item stack item equals new item stack material, and we'll do chainmail boots because I like the look of them and I never get to see them. Warp num, so that'll actually set the amount of the boot to whatever our warp num is, which is why we started at 1 and not 0 like we usually would. Item meta data equals item get item meta data dot set display name warp number, and it's important to add that space, otherwise it gets all weird. String dot oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Value of warp num, and that'll set the display name to that. And we're going to do list string lore equals new array list string lore dot add chat color dot light purple and cmd. So that'll set the first line of the lore to the command that it goes with, which we're cycling through here. So that's how for loops work. It goes through the list of commands, each one it does whatever is in the for loop, and then it starts over with the next one. Data dot set lore to lore. Also, my voice sounds kind of messed up today. I think I'm getting sick, but I'm not yet, so I'm holding off. We're setting the item data to data inv dot add item, and we're adding item, and add item just adds it to the first available open slot, which will be starting with the first one and then continuing on. And then we do warp num warp num plus, and that will increment the warp number by 1 each time. And then once all that is done, player dot open inventory inv, and there we go. So that's the open warps done as well. So if we go to main, we see that this is done and working. So all that's left now is the listener class, which unfortunately is kind of a pain. I'm going to also show you how to capture the exploits, because there are some exploits with inventories. A lot of people would just think to capture the click event, but there is actually a drag event which can cause you to be able to replace items, take items out, put items in, things like that, and you don't want that kind of stuff happening. So we're going to capture the drag event and the click event just to make sure everything is solid and airtight. So as with any event, we need to start with event handler, public void inv drag event inventory drag event e, and you can name this event whatever, like you can have it e event whatever you want. You can also name the inv drag event, you can change that to whatever you want, but it does show up in your console if you get an error through it, so you want to be able to know what it is, so you can kind of figure it out. It's also useful for server owners to be able to figure things out. Inventory inv equals e.get inventory, and then string name equals inv.get name, and then we're going to check to make sure this isn't one of our menus, and if it is, we're going to cancel it. So if name dot equals chat color dot red and main menu, we're doing an or statement in here, so two pipes, or name equals warp menu, I think it was called. So if it's one of those two, do e dot set canceled and set that to true, and then we return. There, and that's that. We might have to import something here. Yeah. Alright, so we import that, and then we do another one. So event handler public void inv click event, and that one is inventory click event. So it's e. Okay, and then we're going to copy just a bit of this code in, just to save us some time of retyping it. But we're going to split this off. So cut that rather than erase it. So if its name is that, else if its name is that, there, and then we'll clean that up right there. Okay, so we'll start with main menu. So first of all, we want to do e.set canceled, set that to true, because we do know that they are in one of our menus. And what set cancel means is they can't interact with the menu. So they can't click things to take them out of the menu, they can't shift click things in, they can't drag things in, because we canceled the drag event. They can't change our menu at all. Yeah, so that's what we're doing there. And then int slot equals e.get slot. Just we can use that. And we're going to do another bit of error checking if slot is less than 0. Because if you click outside of the inventory screen, it's negative 999, I think. And then if you click on the margins, I think there's also another error. So you want to be careful with that stuff. So just to get rid of all that, we can just return. And that won't close the inventory, it won't affect the player. The event will still be cancelled, so nothing really is going on there. It's just a way to stop errors from showing up. So if slot equals 12, because if you remember when we set up our menu, our main menu, we set them to 12 and 14. But our 12 slot opens up our warps menu. So menus.open warps player. Actually, we'll have to get the player when we e.get. Right. We'll have to do that right here. Player equals player e.get who clicked, which returns a human entity. I'm not quite sure why, as I think only players can interact with inventories, but I could be wrong. Obviously someone thinks I'm wrong, as that's what it does. And then we'll return that. Else if slot equals 14, so this is if it's our kit item, player dot send message, and we're just gonna play it off like this is a you know, a work in progress kind of thing. So kit's currently under construction, and then just so the player gets the message rather than clicking it 1,000 times, we're also going to close the inventory and then return. And then else, so if it's not one of those slots, return. This is important with the voids to return things, so it doesn't go on and do extra code that it's not supposed to do. So it's good to get in the habit of that, even if you know how your code flows, because understanding the flow of code is important with you know, when you get into multiple indents and things, you need to make sure that you're understanding where your code is going. So here e dot set canceled to true, because we know they're also still in one of our menus. Int slot equals e dot get slot, and we're being a slight bit redundant with some of our code here. This could be better, but for time's sake we're just going to do it this way. So if slot is less than 0, we return else, and this is just a huge else statement here, rather than going based on slots, because we have different slots, so we don't know exactly what things are. So if our item stack item equals inv.get item slot, so it's getting the item that's in that slot. So if item.has item meta and item.get item meta dot has lore, and usually you'd want to put these in two different if statements, so have get item meta dot has lore inside of the has item meta. Otherwise the has item meta is completely irrelevant anyways, and I think it might throw an error if it didn't have item meta. So we'd want to make sure we checked on things like that. I'm just showing you guys certain ways of doing things. So our command, we have to strip our chat color off the lore. So strip color equals, or inside here, item dot get item meta dot get lore dot get, and then 0. It's the first line of lore. And then bucket dot dispatch command bucket dot get console sender, and then here we just have the command and then return, and that's it. That is our entire plugin. So we're going to compile all of this, upload it to our server, and test it out. Alright, so we've reloaded the server. We've got our plugin on here. So let's do GUI main. And here we have our main menu, and if you want to get rid of this down here, just make sure in your command, on command method, you have returns true. At some point when they've got, when you're done a certain chunk of code and you want it to return like in a void, put return true and that won't show up. So we've got our warps and our kits. So we'll start out with our kits, and this will look a lot better if you didn't have the item information thing, but click kits. No, kits currently under construction. Go back to GUI main, we got warps, and click there, and we've got our 6 warps. So say first warp, say second, whatever. Go with 5, 5th warp. So that's using the say command. And one other thing we can do, GUI warps, we can directly open up our warps menu just like we would if we were opening up our main menu. And then here we have our items. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button. Also, I notice occasionally you guys have questions for me. Maybe you have an error in your code, maybe you did something wrong, and you post the error in the comments. I have no huge issue with that. It's just extremely hard for me to read that. I have to piece together where the formatting goes. So if you want to do that and you want to make it easier for me, please upload your stuff to Pastebin and then just paste the link to your Pastebin in the comments. And then if it gets flagged for spam or whatever, try to let me know and I'll get that taken care of. Also, I do take requests for tutorials. If you have a certain tutorial you want done, I can attempt to do it. If it fits in with what I plan on doing, the difficulty I'm currently at with my tutorials and things, I'll give it a shot. Also, if you like my Facebook page, I am trying to do some updates on there. So if you are curious when the next video is coming out, follow me on there. I might use Twitter if people are interested in me using Twitter. Also, I'm going to be trying to do a video for this at least bi-weekly, but I am in class, so I don't have a massive amount of time to do stuff, so it'll depend on how much classwork I have for that particular week, as well as many other things. But thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.